Welcome to Leveled Up Lore, where we explore iconic stories, games, and beyond. Today, we explore the iconic character of Superman. Before the big screen, before the billion-dollar blockbusters and cinematic universes, Superman was already a legend. His story predates Hollywood's take by decades. A tale of hope, loss, and extraordinary power told across comic book pages, radio waves, and television screens. This is the origin before the movies and a look at every actor who has brought the Man of Steel to life. Part 1. Born on Krypton, Raised on Earth. Superman made his debut in Action Comics #1, released in June 1938. Created by two young dreamers, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Superman was a beacon of hope during the Great Depression and the rising tensions before World War II. The lore was simple but profound. An infant named Kal-El is sent from the dying planet of Krypton and crash lands in Kansas, where he's raised as Clark Kent by the kind farmers Jonathan and Martha Kent. He grows up to discover unimaginable powers, strength beyond comprehension, speed that defies physics, and eventually the power of flight. But even more important than what he could do was what he stood for: truth, justice, and the protection of the innocent. Originally, Superman didn't even fly. He could leap an eighth of a mile, run faster than an express train, and bend steel with his hands. Over time, new writers and media expanded his mythos. He became more godlike, with heat vision, X-ray sight, cold breath, and a heart forever tethered to humanity. Part 2. The Radio and Serials. The first Superman to truly capture the public imagination wasn't on screen. It was on the radio. In 1940, The Adventures of Superman premiered with Bud Collyer voicing both Clark Kent and Superman. His vocal transformation, mild-mannered to mighty, became iconic. In 1948, Superman made his live-action debut in a theatrical serial starring Kirk Alyn. Alyn was athletic and charismatic, but there was a twist. The producers didn't credit him. The opening title claimed Superman played himself, leaning into the myth. In fact, flight scenes were animated as they couldn't afford the special effects. Alyn returned in 1950's Atom Man vs. Superman, facing off against Lex Luthor in one of the earliest examples of a superhero-villain showdown on screen. Part 3. Television takes off. The introduction of George Reeves. In the 1950s, Superman hit television, and for many Americans, George Reeves was Superman. The Adventures of Superman aired from 1952 to 1958 and brought the Man of Steel into millions of living rooms. Reeves played Superman with confidence and authority, and as Clark Kent was calm, composed, and noble. The show started with serious noir-style stories and slowly leaned into lighter, more fantastical territory. Reeves became a role model, especially to children. He attended public appearances in costume and embodied the character off-screen. But Reeves struggled with being typecast, and his mysterious death in 1959, which was ruled a suicide but surrounded by suspicion, cast a shadow over the cape. Still, his legacy endured. Reeves' portrayal defined Superman for a generation. Part 4. The cinematic legend, Christopher Reeve. Then came the breakthrough Superman the Movie in 1978. Directed by Richard Donner and starring Christopher Reeve, a then unknown actor who would forever be linked to the role. Reeves' Superman was everything the character stood for: idealistic, powerful, humble, but it was his Clark Kent that surprised everyone. Clumsy, kind-hearted, and the perfect disguise. Reeve made both personas feel real and separate, a performance still praised today. The film itself was revolutionary. It took the source material seriously, with state-of-the-art effects for the time, an unforgettable John Williams score, and Marlon Brando as Jor-El. Superman the Movie told audiences, "You will believe a man can fly." Reeves returned for 3 sequels. While Superman 2 was a critical and fan favorite, 3 and 4 suffered from budget cuts and weaker stories. Still, Reeves' Superman remained the emotional core. Even after a horseback riding accident in 1995, which left him paralyzed, Reeve continued to be a symbol of courage and determination. Part 5: The Forgotten Years. TV revivals from 1988 to 1997. After Christopher Reeve, Superman's presence moved mostly to television, exploring new angles and tones. In Superboy, 1988 to 1995, John Hames Newton and later Gerard Christopher took on the teenage years of Clark Kent. It was campy but loyal to comic roots and earned a cult following. Then came a romantic twist. Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, starring Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, refocused the story on the relationship between reporter and hero. Cain's Superman was charming and down-to-earth, more Clark than Kal-El. The show leaned into heart and character, bringing Superman to a 90s audience. These adaptations kept the legend alive, even if they didn't redefine it. Part 6: Modern Age Superman. In 2006, Warner Bros. Tried to revive the magic with Superman Returns, directed by Bryan Singer. Brandon Routh stepped into the role, channeling the Christopher Reeve version. The film was a love letter to the Donner era, quiet, contemplative, and beautifully shot. But it didn't ignite the box office, and plans for sequels were shelved. Then came Henry Cavill, cast as Superman for the modern DC Extended Universe. In Man of Steel, Zack Snyder presented a more grounded, conflicted Superman. Cavill's Kal-El was burdened by identity, purpose, and the weight of humanity's fear. He wasn't just a hero, he was a question. What happens when a god walks among us? Cavill reprised his role in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League, polarizing fans by creating a dark, mythic version of Superman rarely seen before. Despite the mixed reception, Cavill's dedication to the role and his physical embodiment of Superman became iconic in its own right. Before the next cinematic chapter begins, it's worth remembering a version of Superman that never even wore the suit. Well, not until the very end. From 2001 to 2011, Tom Welling starred in Smallville, a series that redefined Clark Kent for the 21st century. Smallville wasn't about Superman, it was about becoming Superman. It chronicled the journey of a young man grappling with identity, morality, love, and loss. For a decade, audiences watched Clark grow from high school farm boy into Earth's greatest protector. Welling's performance focused on restraint, humanity, and the heavy burden of destiny, and the show laid the groundwork for modern superhero TV. This led to the introduction of Tyler Hoechlin, who debuted in CW's Arrowverse, eventually leading Superman and Lois. This portrayal brings balance, strong yet gentle, modern yet classic. Hoechlin's Superman is a father, a husband, and still a symbol of hope, perhaps the closest match to the comic essence since Reeve. Part 7: The Legacy Continues. Now, as we step into a new era of storytelling, the cape is being passed once more. David Corenswet is set to become the next Man of Steel in Superman, directed by James Gunn. This new version promises a return to the character's core: hope, kindness, and unwavering idealism, even in a cynical world. Gunn's Superman isn't expected to be a broody god or a messianic figure. It's a Superman who smiles, who inspires, who reminds us that being good is still something to strive for. But no matter who wears the suit, the legacy remains unbroken. Superman is not defined by his power or even his origin story, but by the choices he makes, the people that he saves, and the hope he gives us when the sky seems darkest. He has outlived wars, cultural shifts, and changing tastes. He's been reinvented, deconstructed, and reassembled. Yet through it all, one truth remains constant: Superman endures. He is the first and greatest superhero, and his story will always find a way to begin again. Thank you for watching Leveled Up Lore. If you enjoyed this flight through history, please like, subscribe, and let us know your favorite Superman in the comments below. Are you excited for the next movie?